Hello, everybody. Welcome to the entertainment headquarters and welcome to the Retro Classic Movie Show. My show on the channel that is dedicated to, of course, like it says, films anywhere from the 1970s up to like the early 2000s. And of course, joining me along the ride is my good friend and co host from the Metal Tavern Radio, Mr. DJ Anubis.
What's up, everybody?
How are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, man. Having a good time. Love doing this show with you. It's a lot of fun to go back and revisit some stuff. So,
Yeah.
I think this was my pick because I hadn't seen it quite a long time, and you just kind of told me behind the scenes you hadn't seen this before. So,
Yeah, I
curious
thought
about
I
what
had.
your impressions are.
Yeah, I thought I had seen it, but I seen the poster, and then I said to myself, and then as I was watching it, I thinking I've never actually seen this movie, and I thought I'd seen all of Arnold Schwarzenegger's films. So let's get cracking and talk about the film of your choice, which is none other than Raw Deal
Raw Deal.
1986. That's right. And what a poster. Of course,
Mhm.
showing off the muscles, and he has to have a big gun in his hand. Stereotypical Arnie poster there. So, Raw Deal is a 1986 American action film directed by John Ivan and written by Gary DeVore and Norman Wexler, from a story of Luciano Vincenzoni and Sergio Donati. The film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kathryn Harrold, Darren McGavin, and Sam Wanamaker. In the film, Harry Shannon, an elderly FBI agent, recruits Mark Kamatsky, an ex-FBI agent, to destroy a mafia organization. So, my good friend DJ Anubis, when's the first time you can remember seeing Raw Deal?
I definitely had to be late 80s. So I didn't see this in the theater, but I do remember going and renting it on VHS. So this is still when VHS was around that I saw this one. And so obviously during that time in the 80s, after seeing like Conan the Barbarian or Commando, I became like a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. So certainly he was such a big deal in the 80s. Once this got released, and I think this was a year before Running Man. So obviously, again, just he was such a big deal. And so I went and rented this and watched it, and just remember thinking, wow, man. And then even now, kind of revisiting it yesterday, like Darren McGavin, like it didn't really dawn on me at the time because I didn't really know much about A Christmas Story, but he plays the father from A Christmas Story.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
Chris,
I
yeah.
thought that was funny. I was like, because I look at him now when I watch the movie, this one, I'm like, I can't get him out of my head that he's like the father in the film.
Like, I think A Christmas Story, I think I've only seen that once or twice. Didn't they recently do like a bloody legacy sequel?
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. It was all right.
No, see, I've never seen it, so I couldn't tell you. As for me, like I say, I thought I had seen this particular film, and clearly I hadn't. So it was actually a pleasant surprise to discover an Arnold Schwarzenegger film that I've never actually seen. Because when you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, everyone just assumes they've seen it all when it comes to him, because, you know, as we know, him and Sylvester Stallone were the go-to action stars of the, you know, the 80s and the 90s. I think, though, deep down out, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger had more successful action films than Stallone, though. I think Stallone was more for Rocky and Rambo. Hard
Yeah.
Rain, I think that's one I think he did. Was it Hard Rain? No,
Oh
it's
no,
the
that
one
was
with Christian
no, it
Slater
wasn't
and Morgan Freeman. The one
Hard
I'm
Rain.
thinking, it's
I
the
think that
one
was
where
Michael Douglas, wasn't it?
yeah,
Hard Rain.
I think it was Christian Slater and Morgan Freeman's in that one. I'm thinking of the one where he was stuck in the tunnel.
Oh, Daylight.
Daylight. That's the one I'm
Okay.
thinking of.
Yeah.
But this plot, like it states, there is a mob informant who's under protection by the FBI at the beginning of this film. and he's basically, hiding out in this secret location. Suddenly you just see like a load of cars pulling up near the area, and it's all these different guys in suits, and clearly, something bad's going to go down. And next thing you know, they kind of go around the cabin. There's a mass shootout. People are falling left, right, and center. No one's basically alive, and the informant's sitting there, and he's suddenly, unfortunately, executed.
Yeah, I think that moment's pretty crazy too, because I'd kind of forgotten, but I remember the guy that comes up behind him, and they literally, it's actually probably one of the coolest kills you're going to see, because it actually fills you with dread. He's like got the guy on his knees facing a mirror, like a tall mirror, and he's like, witness this, and he shoots him in the back of the head. Like, it's like, that's a really great death.
Yeah, and you see the blood splatter out at the front, so it felt really like quite uncomfortable to watch, because that's probably sound, as much as it's fictionally thinking, shit, if that was something that really happened, which it probably has in the world of the mob and the mafia.
It's like very cold.
Very cold. Yeah. So once the assassination of this informant happens, we then skip to this small town where you have Mark Kaminsky, aka Arnold Schwarzenegger, who looks all dapper in his suit there. And basically, he used to be an FBI agent, and something went down where he either was fired or he had to step down from his position. And then he ended up becoming the sheriff of the small town. And, you see him chase after somebody, knock them on their ass, and then take them to the police station and get them done for, like disturbing the peace or something. And then he comes home to his very, homemaking wife. Yes, his lovely wife there, who is on the verge of alcoholism.
Yeah, dude, she's like not happy. But this is funny too, because probably Arnie's weakest problem, at least around this time as an actor, was his inability to really kind of sell you on the idea that he's a loving guy. Like, he tries, obviously, in his acting, obviously, to try to be as emotionally supportive or even gentle. But all you see is this like massive dude. And so he's trying, but the wife, obviously, they had to leave the city, go to a smaller town, because I can't remember what the reasons were he left the borough, but they forced him out. And so now he's just like the small town sheriff, and she's like not happy. And so, as you said, she's like baking a cake and drinking her wine or whatever it is.
I think
he's like, what's for dinner? And she's like, you're looking at it.
Yeah, because it's like, whatever happened with the FBI, she's had to upheave her whole life for him. But at the end of the day, it might not be the life she wants, but at the end of the day, he's still on decent money. He's the sheriff of a small town.
So not just that, but once you start getting through the rest of the movie, like, kudos to how they handled his character, because he was still dedicated and loyal to his wife. Like, there were moments that he could have gotten to in an affair, even if he was undercover, and he didn't. So I thought that was great that they treated that with respect to her.
I can understand his wife being pissed off, because she's like now in this small town and in the middle of wherever, and she's not happy, and she throws a glass at him, and he goes, you shouldn't drink while you bake.
So she threw the whole fucking cake at him, and it said shit on it, which was funny.
But like, she just come across like the way I know like what you mentioned, when he's undercover and he meets that lady who's like working with the mob and that. But she's indebted to the mob because she's got herself into mass debt. But it's like, even then, it's like how his wife went on and like acting like a spoiled fucking child over the fact that she's had to move to this town.
Yeah, we'll have to give Schwarzenegger credit, though, because I forgot about this and I want to bring it up, because his interaction in the kitchen, like, you want him to be a little more sympathetic or empathetic to her. it doesn't really come across very well for him. But shortly after, obviously, she's kind of like sort of drinking herself into a stupor where she's like kind of passed out on the couch, and he has this moment where he picks her up and takes her back to the bedroom. That was actually a nice moment. Like you can tell that he still loves her and trying to make her happy, and she's acknowledging that by allowing him to carry her to the bedroom. So that was a really good moment. I did like that too, and that's again, I like the fact that they treat his character as if he's trying to help out his buddy, that old man, for the dilemma that he's in, but yet they treat his character as if he takes his marriage seriously, which I really like.
Yeah, he's got morals. He's got he's got standards. He's is underneath what you might think's a cold exterior. There's a decent man underneath it all.
Yeah.
And speaking of his friend, so Agent Shannon, gives him the phone call, but then he says to him, "Well, let's meet in person. Let's not just talk over the phone." So obviously, he knows probably deep down that Skamansky isn't happy being in this town as the sheriff, and so he kind of throws him a lifeline. Basically, says, "I can help you get back into the agency, basically the FBI, but what the job entails, it's got to be completely off the books and under the radar." And he basically explains that there's been somebody killed, this informant, that they're trying to go after this well-known mafia organization, and he wants to take them down. It's then, as the conversation progresses and he starts asking questions to Agent Shannon about who the agent, he asks him about his son, and then that's when he kind of reveals his son's dead. And it's kind of it's then comes quite aware that the informant at the beginning of the movie who was brutally shot was his son.
Yep.
And
and you can tell too, because when Harry goes to, he's sitting by his son, whose body's on the floor. He gets up and, he's like, they're going to pay. Like, you could tell he's already got vengeance on his mind. He's like, they're going to pay.
Yeah. And obviously, it then cuts to him, it then cuts to Kamansky, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Basically, he goes to Chicago, leaves his wife, to probably drink herself to death for a while right now. Because we don't really see her till, obviously, later on in the film. Basically, he goes to Chicago, and he basically gets told by Shannon that there's an opportunity for you to get in with the criminal organization, because one of their guys has been shut down, and there's kind of this rivalry with this other boss, this other gangster boss. So if you play your card right, you'll be able to get in. And you see there is a scene where you see them in court on the television, and they're all pleading the fifth, and they're basically protecting one another, and that's when it's Patrovita is the name of the gang boss. He's like the head honcho, the guy there in the grey hair, Patrovita.
Yeah.
He basically he wants to basically, and that's the other guy there with him. That is Paulio Rocca, played by Paul Chenard.
Yep.
And basically, he is the one who pulling the strings in this criminal organization. And obviously there's been like a breakdown of with this other, the guy with the hat on, who when he comes out of that room and he says, "I'm cutting the deal off, you've got this much time to get out of town." As he goes towards his car, there's like a white school bus comes back and they start getting shot at. And obviously he then threatens the other guy who clearly is trying to have him assassinated. So there's like a rivalry among the mafia bosses, and that opens the door, because people have been killed. It opens the door for Arnold Schwarzenegger, Kamansky, to then try and get in with his organization. So he starts doing the odd thing to get his attention. He starts raiding like his little gambling halls and beating people up, stealing money. He does everything he can. Then he does the ultimate thing where he actually goes up to his wife in the car.
Yeah.
He says, "Take off your jewelry," and then he leaves them in the middle of nowhere and steals the car. And now he suddenly got his attention.
Yeah, he's basically trying to insert himself as, it's almost kind of like for a few dollars more, or Last Man Standing, where he's just trying to get his way in to be like the new big number two or a hitman or whatever you want to call him. Because I think at one point he tells Polio, like, well, you need new hired help. And he's like, well, what makes you think I need that? He's like, trust me, you do. And of course, Max, played by the great Robert Davi, is the guy currently who's like the currently number one hit bodyguard, or whatever you want to call him, the heavy. Now Kaminsky wants to be in on that. He's like, well, if you were that great, then I wouldn't be here. That's what basically Kaminsky says. So Kaminsky fucks around, pisses these guys off enough to make him notice that he's around, and he's like, I want a job. I want you to pay me to be here to help you.
Yeah. And then this is where, while he's walking around where they're doing like the gambling, he bumps into this lovely lady.
Hubba.
That is, of course, the lovely Monica. Who she's like a spy, I guess. So she's like a spy, and like she finds out details and information on people that the mafia are basically looking into. So basically, she'll flirt with somebody, potentially sleep with them, get what the information, feed it back to the mafia, and then obviously, if it's not looking good, they'll probably do away with that person. So obviously, because of Max, who you've got Kaminsky that's trying to get into the organization. Max instantly doesn't trust him. Instantly gets the vibes that this guy, he's a cop or something, or he's trying to get into this organization. He's trying to do something. So he basically sets Monica after him. And there is like a lot of flirtatiousness between them. And eventually, as the plot progresses, Kaminsky does manage to get the trust of Patravita, the gang boss.
Luigi, basically, yeah.
Yeah, he basically, Patravita, he basically gets his trust, and he starts like doing like harder jobs and all of this till eventually we get to the point in the movie where Patravita, as you know, a lot of his heroin was, confiscated by the FBI. A lot of his money was confiscated. He's kind of got this rivalry with that other mafia boss with the hat on, who's tried to assassinate him. So he's like at the point where he's trying to like rebrand and like rebuild his organization, and the best way he could think of doing that is to break into the FBI, into the compound, and get the £250,000 worth of cocaine and money. And as he's discussing this is where basically Kaminsky comes with the idea, why don't we do a bomb scare?
Yeah.
And
it's like a way for him to kind of show his worth, because there's that moment where when he brings up the bomb, Max is like, real genius here, trying to be sarcastic and nasty about it. But then Polio's like, well, what do you mean? And then Kaminsky basically tells him, well, if you give them the reason to fear you, like if you start, making like basically attacking all the police stations, then you can fool them into thinking that there's going to be a bomb at a certain place where you're going to go and get your shit. And that's basically where Luigi's like, it's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah. And obviously that plan is going to go ahead, but at the same time with Monica and Max, they're finding there's a leak within the FBI. And Max finally gets some information at the same time as that's all getting planned out. Of course, they actually do the raid and get the heroin and I think, what is it, 100 million worth of heroin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So obviously they go ahead and the plan and all of that out, and then suddenly Max gets some information about potentially who Kaminsky is, so he wants to call him out on it. So Luigi gets told basically he's a rat. So then they make this plan where they go to the a graveside where there's like a funeral procession taking place, and they go to this graveside, and basically Kaminsky had to go, we've got to kill this guy, he's no good, he's like a rat. But when he turns around, it's Agent Shannon.
Yep.
And unfortunately, because it is Agent Shannon, he's got to kind of reveal himself, and there's a bit of a shootout, and Max and everyone gets gunned down. This is suddenly where he realized, shit, I've been caught out. Agent Shannon's lying on the floor, but he's got two options: help him and stay, and basically probably be arrested, because he's like I say, this whole case that he's working on, or not even case, it's like a vendetta
it's deep cover. Yeah, it's deep cover.
Yeah.
So if Shannon dies, no one else knows that Kaminsky's involved. Like they won't know that he's undercover.
Yeah.
So I do like that moment, because it's like, you need to get out of here. I'll try to hold on, but if they discover you and I die, you're going to be in some big shit.
Yeah. And obviously he goes away. He then gets the moniker and says, you've got to get out of here. You've got to get out of here, because she's basically also, he's worried for her now that Max has kind of been shot down, and it's all kind of coming out. He feels, and because they believe Monica and him are intimate and together,
Yeah.
he's trying to protect her. So he basically tells her to go to the airport, book yourself a flight, take this money, and start a new life for yourself.
Yeah, there's this moment, just so people have an idea, because Monique and Kaminsky, like, so again, like you said, she's sort of like an informant. So they drink and they get a little bit drunk, and she actually attempts to seduce Kaminsky, but he passes out, whether intentionally or not, but he passes out, which saves him from betraying his wife. So during that, she's like checking his wallet and his passports and calling it in to Max or whoever. But then there's another moment where she actually really kind of likes him at like a restaurant. And so, he's bought her, like Kaminsky's bought her like a nice dress or whatever. And so she's like, I really like you. And I thought, you're kind of taking it slow. But then she finds out that he's married. Like, he's actually honest that he's married. And so she has this great moment where she's like just taking the dress off, throwing it at him. She's like in like a nightie or something with her fur coat, and she just walks out. Yeah. But that leads to like a good scene where you're talking about where the airport, where initially during that restaurant scene, Kaminsky's like, look, I like you. I care about you. You're a friend. And so she's like, well, friend, I forget what her comment was, but she's like, I have enough friends or whatever. But later, she actually appreciates that gesture, and that's why he wants to help her out and get her out of the city and all that shit.
Yeah. So that's happened, and then the next thing you know, because he's now been caught out, he knows that they're going to be after him. He wants to continue on to to get these guys. So this is where he goes into like the Arnold Schwarzenegger that we all know.
Terminator mode.
Yeah, he even looks like the Terminator. He's got his jacket on there, and like he's doing what he does best. He goes all crazy. Like he gets like a shitload of weapons, puts him in his car. You know, he like drives forward with all these weapons in his car. He like kicks the shit out of his windshield and
Yeah,
goes
it's
to
like
the
I think
casino.
it's called like the pit or something. It's like tractors and stuff and a big dirt pit or whatever. That's one of my favorite scenes because he's in his convertible Cadillac or whatever it is, and he starts jamming the Rolling Stones. I can't get no satisfaction in the cassette player. cassette player. So just remember the time period. But yeah, he just starts lighting it up with all his guns and stuff, and that's kind of a fun scene.
Yeah, and then he basically goes around killing all of his soldiers. And some of the gunshot, like the shooting scenes and the fight sequences, it's quite brutal throughout the course of the movie. And obviously he manages to get through them all and nearly gets killed a few times in the process. And this is basically where you've got Rocco Patarita in the retreat to the back room, but Rocco, he gets cut down quite fast and brutal. And then the next thing you've got Kamitsky comes in, and you get Pavel. He tries to cut a deal with him, and he basically says "fuck you" and blows him away. But this is also when we discover who the rat is from the FBI, who
Yeah.
basically screwed them over, and it's actually the same person that basically cost him his job in the FBI and told him he either resign or I'm going to fire you. The choice is yours. Which I thought that reveal was epic because this is like the ultimate karma for being the douchebag that you are.
Yeah.
And so,
it's obviously Marvin Baxter, who's actually there during his gunfight too. So that helps out a lot in terms of exposing him.
Yeah. So he's like being like a background character that was in and out of the film, but doesn't really do much until the end, and you figure out what the hell's going on. And he basically blows him away and kills him. I forgot what he says, though. He says to the same thing to him that he said to him when he was at the parole board, and he said something like, either take this deal or you're done. He goes, "You're done," or something, and blows him away. Which I was really happy about. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, he's revenged Shannon's son's death, which I'm glad, I'm glad he did. And then we're reintroduced to his lovely wife, the love of his life, who looks slightly different because she's now pregnant, which I never seen coming, mind. And of course, they go visit Shannon at the hospital, Agent Shannon, and
we find out he's alive at this point.
they find out he's alive, but he's crippled. But he's saying he's not going to bother going through the therapy or anything, to pull himself around. He's kind of a bit depressed with it all. Which after what happened with his son and everything, you can imagine now being shot and virtually crippled. And then when the wife's revealed and she's pregnant, he goes, "Would you like to be the godfather of my child?" And he goes, "Yes."
I like this. I forgot this at the time that I'd seen it last time, that how tender this moment is, because obviously, Shannon's still grieving his son, and now he's hurt because he got shot. So he's, a little bit paralyzed down there. But, this is where Kaminsky's basically like, well, you're going to be a godfather, so you're going to have to, come be around the kid and raise him, help me be a father. Cause he's like, Kaminsky's like, I never had kids. So, and of course, Shannon's like, very frustrated and stubborn right now. But once Kaminsky gets him up on those railings, and of course, you got this nice moment with the nurse who's been trying to help out Shannon, but you start seeing like basically it's almost poetic because Shannon starts taking like steps like a young kid would, trying to work his legs back to try to.
It's basically, it shows you just how nice this guy is underneath it all. He comes across with this tough and tough, basically, personality, but underneath it all, he's a real nice, genuine guy that just wants to do good in the world. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think he played the role perfectly in terms of you're seeing like the stereotypical stance that Arnold Schwarzenegger does. But then when you see in the kitchen, I'll be honest, when she threw the cake at him and she wrote shit, I thought, what a bitch. I wouldn't want to be married to this fucker. But then you have the tender moment, like you see, where he picks her up and takes her gently to the bedroom. And next thing you know, he's all for wanting Agent Sam and to get justice and for the death of his son. And right at the end, when he's so depressed, and I guess he's succumbing to his grief of, because it's over with. He can finally grieve, basically, over the loss of his son.
Yeah.
And you have that tender moment, and like even the look in his face in this scene, it's like he's found like some sort of peace, and he's found a motivation to carry on.
Yeah, because as he starts to walk or try to walk on the thing, he's like, he yells at Kaminsky, he's like, I can't do this. And then this is a great moment where Kaminsky's like, did you ever tell Blair that? And that's when it kind of like dawns on Shannon's face, like, no, I never gave up on Blair, and I'm not going to give up now. So he starts walking, and he gets happier as he starts walking. So you get that nice moment there at the end.
Yeah. I like how it started off quite gruesome and dark with the death of his son, and then it ended in a highlight where his father's starting to learn how to walk again, and there's a bit of hope there for him.
Yeah.
When you think he's lost everything, there's that hope at the end, and the fact he's got Kaminsky there, and now he's going to be a godfather to his son. In a way, it's given him something to carry on and live for, which I really like. That moment, it was a touching moment, considering like the brutality of what happened at the beginning with his son, and then as the plot progresses, all the action sequences with Arnold Schwarzenegger. So yeah, really well done. I did like the story of this one. So, like, what's your overall thoughts of this one?
I still enjoy the film. One thing about this film compared to a lot of the other films, it doesn't really hold up as well because like I won't watch this as much as I'll watch some of his other stuff, and maybe it's because the other stuff's more campy in some ways compared to this.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy this film a lot. I don't hate it at all. But if you're just gonna stack it against some of his other films, I just go with the other ones far more than I do this one. But it is still very enjoyable. There's like great acting in it. Like, and again, I had forgotten about that like tender moment at the end until I remember seeing it, and I'm like, oh wow, I remember this. This is like a very emotional moment for this guy and Shannon and everything. So yeah, it was fun to revisit it. I'm glad you got the chance to see it for the first time for sure. As far as a rating, this probably hovers around like a 7.5 for me in terms of like just how it compares to anything else that I've been, Arnold Schwarzenegger like.
Yeah. As for me, like I say, I thought I had seen this, but I clearly hadn't. And for a first time watch of a film, I thought was enjoyable. I enjoyed the story. Obviously, unlike a majority of Arnold Schwarzenegger's films, there's not as many funny one-liners or memorable things in it compared to but I generally like the story. It's basically a story of a man wanting justice for his friend's family, which I really enjoyed. Like you see, I like the fact that you had kind of this toughness, but underneath it all, at the core of it, he's just a decent human being that's doing the right thing and taking down the bad guys, which I really enjoyed. The the cast were all good in the roles. Like, but when you seen the villains, you knew they were the villains. You knew who they were, bad people. Arnold Schwarzenegger did what was written on the tin. Like I say, I do feel as if, even though it's got a decent story, I do feel like this was like a cash grab movie for him, as his career was really taking off after Conan. I think he was just taking anything that came his way. And I think this is like one of the softer films he did, but it's still a decent film.
Yeah, it's like, because he had done Conan and Terminator, and basically that was starting to bring his name. And this was '86, so this was like right before Predator, and Predator really catapulted him like way above that. So I think that's sort of part of it, because I think Predator and Running Man came out in the same year. But so this was still kind of like when he was still getting his chops and he was just getting his name out there. So that made sense at the time.
Yeah. So for me, if I'm going to rate this, I'm going to probably be on the similar lines of you, since it's my first view, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, which I think it's fair for this film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
definitely. Like I say, I like his performance. I like the story. I like the overall, like, the good guy really just doing good and justice in the world against really nasty people, which is basically what it was all about. But coming up on the Retro Classic Movie Show in December, we're going to do a very special for me. I absolutely adore these films. We're going to be doing the Back to the Future trilogy. So that's going to be in December. That is the Retro Classic Movie Show December special. So we're looking forward to that. Coming up next Friday, next Friday the 15th, me and my good friend here, Mr. DJ Anubis and Mr. Walter Ross, and I think Jake Hall, are going to be doing a review of Predator Badlands, which I had the pleasure to see in today. And then on the 22nd, we're getting together again to talk a bit more about Predator, because we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing the Predator franchise special, which I cannot wait to do. But that's just a little bit. That's coming to the entertainment headquarters. But my good friend DJ Anubis, what's coming to the Metal Tavern Radio?
Well, later tonight, Neko and I will get together. We're going to finally get the next episode of Rated R for Rom-Com with Crazy Stupid Love out. It's just been getting pushed back, just things come up. Wednesday, Ghouls of Midnight will return as usual. I've chosen a film from 1985 called Real Horror, and it's REEL, so like a movie reel. I have not seen it before, so I have no idea if it's good or bad, but that was my pick.
Yeah, is that an anthology film?
I don't know. I didn't really read up on it, so I'm not entirely sure.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, it might be. Tony has picked a 2025 movie called Coyotes, which I've been looking forward to seeing. So we're going to watch that and review that one.
Is that the one with Justin Long?
Yes.
Your favorite actor?
Yes. Yeah. And then Friday, of course, I will be going down to Maryland with Neko to film my little spot in the next movie from Sean Wright called Spirit Board. So we'll be getting that out of the way. Of course, Friday or Saturday, I'll be with you to do the Badlands review. That should be fun, talking a little bit about that. Next Sunday was Silver Screen Savants for Alvin and I. He's chosen, what movie did he choose? Oh, you only live twice. So we're still kind of on our Bond run right now. So You Only Live Twice is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then finally, obviously you talked about the 22nd already with the franchise for Predators, but Thursday of the 20th, I'm doing another Kaiju Spotlight, and I'm actually going to be doing a Godzilla 2000 with a new guy I've never done anything with. His name is Nick Arden from the Monster Report. So I'll be,
nice.
Yeah, so I'll be doing a nice little spotlight there. Initially, unfortunately, G2000 was supposed to be Kevin's pick, but I stole it just for this one moment. So Kevin's got like a lot of other kaiju that we're going to be talking about. So no worries there, Kevin. You still got like a lot of stuff to choose from.
You know, you call you say you've got friends and they do shit like this. No worries, no. But I will mention something else that I haven't. On the 28th, which is a Friday at 6 p.m., we're doing the next Into the Darkness franchise discussion, which is The Omen.
Yep. I'll be looking forward to it because I've not seen the first one in a long time, and I haven't seen the sequels, and I haven't seen the new one. So this will be a big deep dive for me to check everything out at this point.
Yes. But I quite enjoyed The Omen, the first Omen, it was called. And right at the end, without spoilers, it basically flows really nicely into the very first film. It really like gels. But also I felt as if it could be something on its own.
Yeah.
So it's like something that could have been a standalone film on its own, but then it dives into The Omen. So that was good. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But anyway, this has been the Retro Classic Movie Show, where, like I say, we talk all retro cinema, and it's been a fun ride as always with my good friend and co-host, Mr. DJ Anubis. Keep on enjoying your movies. Yes. Subscribe to the Entertainment Headquarters if you haven't already. Please subscribe to DJ Anubis and the Metal Tavern Radio. Some great shit on there. If you love your heavy metal, if you love your movies, and also if you like your tarantulas, get yourself there because he does a tarantula spotlight section, which is really, really good.
Yeah, it's too bad I don't film all the foo bars because, like, the other day I was rehousing my feather-legged baboon and he got out on me, so I had to go chase him down because that's when you don't want running around. So.
How big's that one? As big as my hand, though.
He's about like this size right now. But
well.
He's actually, it was funny because he was more scared, which is good. It means he's rather go hide than to bite. But once I got him on his catch cup, he was like pissed off.
You don't want to piss off a tarantula.
Yeah.
Especially, is it an old world where it flicks its hairs at you?
Oh, no, that's the new world. The old worlds have the venom. So if he bites you, it's going to hurt. So you don't want to do that.
Oh, shit. Well,
yeah.
You don't know. You could be allergic to the venom if it bites you. You never know.
Yeah. I'll be like Steve Irwin.
Oh, fuck, I hope not. But anyway, keep on enjoying your movies. Keep on enjoying all things entertainment. Subscribe to the Metal Tavern Radio. Subscribe to Entertainment Headquarters if you would like. But as always, we're getting out of here. So take care, everybody, and we'll catch us all at the next one.